Ready to cut your chicken?
Have you guys hesitated on buying whole chickens because you didn't know how to cut that bird when you got it home? Well, today we're going to show you how simple it is to cut these and how you can start using whole chickens in your kitchen. You've got the whole chicken home and you're ready to cut it. Where do you start? Well, let me show you two important tips to cutting a whole chicken before we even get started. The first is, make sure you have a sharp knife. This process goes much easier. That may seem like an obvious statement, but make sure your knife's got a nice edge on it. And my personal experience has been that a knife that's a bit larger does make this process easier. And I'll show you why as you're moving through the joints in a minute. Oh, and about those joints, well, that's tip number 2. And what that means is that when you're looking to make your cuts, what you're gonna do is find the joints on these birds, and you're gonna cut right through that joint. Those are your 2 tips for a successful cut. So let's make this happen. So I tend to like to start with taking the drumsticks off first. And so when you're looking for the line for the drumstick, you just run your finger right here and you'll feel the bone, and then you'll roll off of that bone and you'll feel it kind of dip right there. That's where the knife goes in. So you're just gonna take that knife and you're gonna go in right there. And something that makes this a bit easier too, guys, is if you don't want the skin can slow you down just a little bit. If you've ever tried to cut through fat, it does slow things down. So if you don't want the skin, just take it off. But many of you will probably appreciate one of the reasons you want a whole bird is because you want the value of that skin still on your bird. But you can just see right here, you've got just a nice clean cut through that joint line. And then you'll do the same thing on the opposite side. You'll find I literally like to just take my hand and wrap it around that drumstick like that, and then just find right in here, you're gonna find that joint line. And you just take that knife and go right into that joint line. There you go. And that's how it's supposed to come off. That's the way the first one should have come off. Okay, so under the drumsticks, you're gonna have the thigh. All right, now as I'm showing this to you, one of the things that you're gonna see here is you've got this flap of skin. All right, that's pretty easy now because you can literally take your hand and just run it right up under. You're just gonna run your hand right up under that thigh. I just separate that off, cut that loose, and then what you can do is you can actually start to fold the thigh back, and it just gives you the perfect line right here to cut along. And you're just gonna cut down along that line right into that joint. Just like we did with the drumsticks. And now you've got the separation of the joint right here. And look at that, there's your thigh, okay? And of course we've got 2 of these. So we'll roll this over. And just as before, we'll pull that back, cut that little bit of skin right there that's holding that. And then as you pull that back, you can almost, as you just put pressure on it, you can see the line to start to cut in there. And then once you've got a little bit of area, a little bit of cutting going on, you'll see that joint line will just start to really present itself to you. You can cut right through it, and then it's all meat after that, and there's your thighs. Okay, that leaves us the wings. All right, the wings create a nice line here for you as well. You're gonna be able to bend these back, but even if you let me show you this. Even right here, you'll notice you've got your line right through here that you can see, just right under that bone. But then when you turn this around, you can see you've got a crease line right here. We're just cutting the lines. We're just cutting these crease lines is all we're doing. There's your wing, right? Anybody can do this. Any of you guys that have hesitated on cutting whole birds, I am by no means a chef, but this is really not hard to do. Don't hesitate on this. Don't let this deter you from buying whole birds and seeing the value in a whole bird, because I can promise you after you've used a whole bird and you've had an opportunity to eat the the skin. I'm cutting too low on this one. So you're not gonna be perfect with it, guys, right? So I cut a little high on that one. Oh well, we'll cut a little low, it'll eat the same way, doesn't matter. All right, now we're going to get the cut that's a bit different here, because up to this point, we've used the joint lines as the indicator of where to go with the knife. That's not going to be so much the case on this next one, but we are going to use the bones as an indicator here, right? So as you would expect, you've got this heart shape with one of the chicken breasts on each side, and right down the middle of that, you've got the sternum, the breastbone of that bird. Now, what I recommend doing here is, if you're just going to eat these like you typically would eat a chicken breast, then just go ahead and cut the skin back. And the reason I'm telling you to do that, you don't have to take it off, but the reason I'm telling you to do that is because that's going to expose that breastbone right there, that sternum. And what you'll do is turn the knife, this is the way I do this, I turn the knife upside down and I just easily cut along that breastbone. That's all I want to do, and not deep. You'll notice I didn't put the knife in very deep here. I just put the knife in just enough to start to separate it. And the reason you want to cut it that way is because now that gives you just enough leverage with putting your finger in there to start to pull that breast back. And now as you pull the breast back, it makes it that much easier to separate, right? And so we can see, you can cut right in here and just roll that back. And that breast will actually almost pull off. In fact, I'll just flip the bird around right here. And here's your chicken breast right here. And again, whatever you want to do with the skin, all right? So you can leave it on. You don't typically see skin on breast, but that's a great way to cook that. But there's your chicken breast, right? Nice, beautiful chicken breast. So we got one side. Now, under that chicken breast, don't forget, you're going to have a tender in here as well. And so we do the same thing with the tender. We can just take the knife and just run it right up under that tender, right? And you can you can literally just pull that back with your hands after you've gotten in there a little bit. And there you go, there's your tender. All right, now the next thing is we want to cut that other side. And so now that we've taken that one breast off, we can actually just put a little weight down on the remaining breast, and you can start to take that knife. Remember, you got the sharp side, the cutting side up. We can actually just start to ease that through there and just get a little momentum, start to separate that breast back. And I'll spin this back around and can actually begin to pull it apart now. So we'll just cut away from that bone up here. And I cut this one just a touch different, meaning that I actually took the tender out with the breast on this one, just in case that's something that you want to do. Get that separated off right there. Okay. So you've got that separated off, and then if you want to separate the tender, there's the tender for you. But you've got that nice, beautiful chicken breast there, however you want to cook that. And guys, you've got several meals sitting right here with the cuts, and those are all the traditional cuts. But here's what I also want to show you, and I should stop pointing at you with a knife, right? So I don't need to point at you with the knife. But here's what I want to show you. Guys, look at how much meat is left on this bird. There is still a lot of meat left here. And so if you wanted to, you have a couple of options, at least some that come to mind for me, is you could cut some of this off. You could throw it in a skillet with a little bit of butter or olive oil, probably a little bit of butter, and cook that up and add it to a dish for dinner. You may even just cook it on the stovetop and add it to a salad, something like that. Or if you wanted to put this whole carcass to use, now you could make a nice broth with this. You could even take the meat off and then make a broth with it. So the point is that you've got several options. In fact, on the bottom side of these birds, and I'll actually go through and do this we're not just going to dispose of this carcass. I'll take some more of this meat off of here and just kind of cut around on it a little bit. Guys, there's at least another meal, if not more, sitting left on this bird that when you buy cut pieces, you're never getting that. So just options that you've got there. But that's it. That's the simplicity of cutting a whole bird. You can do this. And if you're looking at this and thinking, you know what, I can do that, but I'm still a little bit on the fence of, wouldn't it just be easier to go buy these cut pieces still? Well, go ahead and check out this video here, because this is going to show you why, the 5 reasons you will never buy pieces again and you will only buy whole birds.